The Town Council Roads Subcommittee continues its quest to find a way to pay for private road repairs. And the Recreation Commission honors some of its finest employees. These stories on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mannel. The Town Council Roads Subcommittee has even more options to consider when looking to find ways to pay for repairs to private roads in town. Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee member Bob Ciolik presented 9 options during the Roads Subcommittee meeting last night. Before beginning that presentation, Ciolik urged the committee to avoid using the money from a fund designated specifically to pay for sewering in town.
CFAC has been involved as a committee in wastewater issues for quite some time. When we observed the discussions at the Roads Committee with respect to the potential funding source, it raised some concerns on our part. However, more to the point, in discussing the work of the Roads Committee with Councillor Kennedy, at one point she said, well, does CFAC have any ideas with respect to other sources of funding? And we do. And the purpose of the discussion tonight is to make a relatively short presentation to the Roads Committee with respect to a number of concepts.
Ciolik suggested the committee consider using voluntary betterment assessments to pay for private road repairs. Ciolik says there are many benefits to going that route.
First of which is that it works. There has not been, that I have seen anyway, in any of the minutes or in any of the discussions, a demonstration that the current system has failed. It certainly is equitable. Only property owners pay for improvements to only their private property. And it's fair in the sense that other property owners are not burdened with paying for improvements to someone else's private property.
Ciolik admits using voluntary betterments to pay for private road repairs can be a very lengthy process that can, in some cases, take more than 2 years. Ciolik says another alternative would be to use involuntary betterment assessment.
And that rests on the presumption, as has been asserted, that there are serious public safety issues on well-traveled private roads that require an immediate fix. One vehicle to fund the road fix is, of course, an involuntary betterment assessment. And again, that can be anywhere from 10 to 20 years. By the way, the difference of the 10 to 20 years, and I would suspect that Mark Milne has probably passed this on to you, I suspect, is you don't want to go out a longer period of time than what is the underlying debt. So if it's a 10-year bond, you really only want to go out 10 years. If it's a longer life bond, you can go out up to 20 years. In terms of advantages, it's a fast resolution of the issue. The second is, it is mostly equitable in the sense that private property owners will, again, only be paying for improvements to their property, and it is equally fair in the sense that other taxpayers are not burdened with paying to the improvements of someone else's private property.
Ciolik also suggested the town could ask residents to turn over their roads voluntarily, making them public roads that could be maintained by the town.
There should be no cost at that point to any property owner who donated the property. And this is one of those ones that would have to work in conjunction. I mean, there's still going to be a resurfacing cost, so it has to work in conjunction with some of the other funding concepts. Again, it eliminates, in terms of advantages, it eliminates private roads. It certainly is, again, from the perspective of a person who is not impacted by this, it's equitable in the sense that private property owners who donate land for an improved road will also see an increase, more likely than not, to their property. And last but not least, while I did not research this individually, I mean as a separate issue, it seems likely a gift to a municipality might be deemed to be a tax-deductible gift. So there's the potential for tax deductibility under those circumstances.
Seelick did say that option can also be a time-consuming option and would require the creation of a program within the Department of Public Works. Another idea Seelick presented would be using a portion of the town's annual free cash.
And place it in a dedicated fund to be used only for the repair of private roads. The amount could be determined as a percentage of any free cash annual determination. The town should require, however, as a consequence of town money being spent, a donation of the road-related property in return for the taxpayer financing of road improvements. Again, it will eliminate some of our private roads. Again, it is equitable. Again, if they donate the property, there may be a tax deduction associated with it. Again, it's slow. Again, it's inconsistent, but there's a new disadvantage as well. It will have a budget impact in terms of the annual operating budget of the town. The thing about free cash, which I think anybody who's been on council for a while knows, is that it is inherently unpredictable. And so if you're going to operate this program, it will only be as active as the amount of free cash that you get coming in, and you probably want to set the percentage reasonably low so that it has a relatively minor impact on the town's operating budget. But still, it's, again, what CFAC tried to do was put its thinking cap on and come up with ways that perhaps you haven't looked at.
Seelick also suggested the Town Council Roads Subcommittee consider passing a Proposition 2.5 override that would be strictly used to pay for private road repairs.
Many of the advantages are the same as the ones that you've seen before. It certainly would result in sufficient new money. You won't have to hit any other fund to do a road program. And if you're really talking, as you have said in the past, about a 3 to 5 road improvement program, in terms of it being an override, it's not the largest override that anyone has ever seen by any stretch of the imagination. Disadvantages, while I try to avoid the politics of the situation as much as possible, you can't on this one. It certainly demonstrated that it would be politically difficult, and I'm not kidding myself about that. Also, just sort of psychologically, to the extent that a town is successful in override, it makes the ones that follow a little bit more difficult because you already had one and it's fresh in people's mind. And I have to say it's probably not the most important override you'll ever consider over the next few years, but it certainly is an option that should be looked at.
The Roads Committee will ask Finance Director Mark Milne to review the ideas proposed by the Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee and ask him to rate them later this year. The committee will meet again next month. Each year, Barnstable Recreation Division employees are recognized for their hard work and dedication during the previous summer season. Presentations were made at this week's Recreation Commission meeting to Gate Attendant of the Year Mike Dembski, Beach Assistant of the Year Jamie Corey, and Leisure Program Counselor of the Year Hallie Broberg. Director of Leisure Services Patty Machado presented Demi Miskiv with the Lifeguard of the Year award.
The last award is going to our Lifeguard of the Year for 2013. This young lady grew up in our program and has been outstanding. And one of the things that always comes to my head when I think of her is the fact that we've won a lot of awards. We've done outstanding in all of our competitions. We do really well with all of our interaction with the public, handling accidents constantly. I mean, we've had a lot of situations happen, and this is a young lady who has trained them all with me. And I let her run the show. She's unbelievable. She's awesome. She just graduated from Bridgewater, and her whole family works here. So she's not alone. There's 5 others, Miskivs, that work for us. So it's Demi Miskiv, who is in the Lifeguard of the Year for 2013.
Congratulations to all the hardworking Barnstable Recreation staff. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we'll take a look at the housing market with Register of Deeds Jack Mead, and we'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.